All right, Deja, thank you very much. March, as you know, is Women's History Month. 41 Action News proud to bring you stories all month long about the women who had a major impact on Kansas City. This morning, I want to tell you about the Dean of Women Lawyers, she's called. Her name is Mary Tiera Farrow. She graduated from the UMKC School of Law in 1903 and went on to lead a barrier-breaking life and career, and incredible things that happened to her over the course of her life. So I wanted to find out more about the impact she had on the women in legal professions back in the early 1900s and still today.
Tiera Farrow was a trailblazer for women in law. In her 1953 autobiography, Lawyer in Petticoats, she describes her first night in law school in 1901 as she entered a room filled with young men and cigarette smoke. She writes, "All talk ceased. The men, as if stunned, stared at me. Every eye of those more than 80 men was turned toward me, a mere woman invading our sanctum." Such was the thought their attitude seemed to express.
She was well aware of the gender dynamics and the barriers that faced her, but it just seemed to roll off her back.
Barbara Glesner-Fines is the dean of UMKC's School of Law and an avid Tiera Farrow fan.
I think that's one of the great mysteries of people like Tiera Farrow, who, in the face of a whole societal structure that says, don't even think about that, do.
In 1915, Farrow became the first woman to defend a woman in a murder trial. She had just represented Clara Schweiger in a divorce case, which they lost. Afterward, Schweiger shot her husband right in the Jackson County Courthouse.
While Clara was convicted, she was convicted of second-degree murder instead of first-degree murder, and she only served just a few number of years. Even by today's standards, that's a victory.
As the first woman to open her own law office in the city, the first woman municipal court judge, and the first woman to appear before the Supreme Court of Kansas on an appeal case.
Clearly, Farrow's firsts signified major steps for women in the legal field, but one of them may stand above the others for its lasting effect. In 1917, she founded the Women's Bar of Kansas City.
I think that, when you're in law school, you don't realize how many women have come before you and have fought very hard for you to have that seat at the table.
Today, the Association of Women Lawyers of Greater Kansas City carries that mission forward. President Nicole Fisher, also a UMKC grad, says the goal is to keep winning cases and changing minds.
I went on some interviews that were pretty cringeworthy. Some things that were said to me that I just remember having my heart broken. There's a lot of women that are like, there's no ceiling now. I can do whatever I want.
That's the goal of the next generation, too. Morgan Rivera is a 6th grader at Kansas City Girls Preparatory Academy. She already knows she wants to be a criminal defense attorney.
Because there are so many people who are in jail for crimes that they may not have committed or they didn't get properly sentenced.
And she won't let gender be a barrier.
There are so many women in the Supreme Court and who are lawyers, and if they're able to do it, then I should be able to do it. It'll obviously be challenging and it'll be difficult, but it shouldn't really be too hard.
A lawyer's job is to bring order out of chaos, peace out of disruption and dispute, freedom out of oppression. That's work that requires the ability to persist in the face of extraordinary barriers.
I had such a joy learning more about Tiera Farrow and the life that she led, talking to the women who knew more about her really incredible story she, of course, led. In 2019, she was inducted into the UMKC Star Women's Hall of Fame. I want to read some of her other accomplishments in case you didn't get enough of them there. During her life, she was also the Kansas City Treasurer at one point, recruited for the National Guard Association in World War I, and joined the Red Cross in World War II. She earned more postgraduate degrees in addition to her law degree as well. Now, her autobiography, Lawyer in Petticoats, is unfortunately out of print right now, but in the 1950s, She did a radio essay for the This I Believe series that was on the radio for a long, long time. We have a link where you can go and listen to her actual recording. It's one of the only known recordings we have of her voice online at kshb.com right now. If you go and find this story, you can find the link to listen to her This I Believe essay. Of course, we're doing lots of Women's History Month coverage this month at KSHB. We've got lots of ways for you to go and see the other stories we've done right now on kshb.com. Please take some time to go and learn more about the amazing women impacting Kansas City every day. We'll be right back.